Hi, I'm Melaney.
And I'm Cory.
And welcome to Love 'em and Lead 'em.
Lessons and laughs with the ladies of Dog Training Camp USA.
In this podcast, you'll take away proven and practical dog training advice with plenty of stories and laughs along the way.
Join us as we share our experience from the kennel and from life.
With that, let's sniff our way into this episode.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
So some friends of ours were comparing our intro in our first part of our podcasts to a certain Saturday Night Live NPR skit, and it got me giggling real hard.
What? Oh, sweaty balls. Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Who was it?
It was Brant's.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I hit record and you turn into sweaty balls on me. It's so
I don't
freaking
think that's the visual we need people to see when they start listening to us. But in reality, that was just us saying thanks for listening, because we were so surprised when he approached us and said he listened, and we sounded like the Sweaty Balls skit, and it made us so excited that he was listening. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah. We don't know what the hell we're doing. So everybody has been so nice, and part of me wonders if they're just being nice and it actually sucks. But
I always err on the side of, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So I feel like if they're even talking about it, that they must be telling the truth.
I mean, the people that are our friends would probably tell us if it sucks, and nobody's told us we suck yet.
No.
So
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And if anybody has anything topic-wise that they're dying to know about, go ahead and message us, because we will definitely talk about it. So
for sure.
This has been very fun for us. So thanks for playing along.
Today we're going to talk about off-leash.
We're gonna unleash all of our thoughts about this topic.
So off-leash is everybody's dream, right? Everybody is like, oh, I want my dog to be able to just walk next to me, and I don't need a leash. And it does everything I ask, and it can go 5 miles away. And if I whistle, it comes back to me.
Yeah, I just want to give it a come here. And I want my dog to come back. And I want him to sit, and I want him to look at me in the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, and also I don't want to do any practice.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. So this is as good a time as any to let everybody know that we actually live together.
What? What does that have to do with no leashes?
Because we're going to talk about our own dogs, and we've got 3 of them, and 2 are mine and 1 is yours.
I didn't realize that's what was going to have to happen. We're outed.
We have a blended family.
I got divorced a couple years ago and moved in with Cory, and I left, but then I came back, and now I'm just here.
Yeah. So it's me and my husband, 2 kids, an extra
me and my kid
friend that lives here, and Melaney and her child and her dog.
And my dog.
Anyway, it's one big happy Brady Bunch weird family.
We co-parent a lot of animals together.
Yes. So we have 3 dogs here at our house, and I would say that I would mostly consider all 3 of them off-leash trained.
Well, they could be. I think if we lived in a different kind of place and we needed more control over them,
we would have to practice.
Either we would practice or not let them off the leash.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't safe, So
off-leash is glamorous, and people think that it's easy, and people think it will make their lives easier. And it really does, but they don't realize how much work and practice it is.
I don't know, man. I get in so many situations. I've been in so many situations where my dog was far away from me and something stressful happened where either, the dog decided to not listen to me, or something else was going on in the environment that I needed to get to my dog quickly, and they were too far away from me. And to me, it's like even the convenience of not having to do the leash is like not worth the peace of mind that a leash gives me. Because like I always tell people, like off leash is great, but it's the other people's dogs that I don't trust. If
Exactly.
I'm gonna have
Exactly.
it's like, letting your small kid go play on the playground super far away from you.
Or like for me, it's the kids want to go somewhere in the car when they first get their license and they're like, "Do you not think we're good drivers?" And I'm like, "It's not you." Well, it is them. It's the other people on the road, right? You can't control every variable. So
there's two different stages of motherhood in that.
yeah, that's accurate.
Mine is your kid playing on the playground, and yours it's driving in the car, which is terrifying and inconceivable. My kid is not going to drive.
Okay.
She's just not.
Okay.
She's not going to be allowed to. She can drive like when I am too old to drive her around, like physically, and then she can just take it over.
Okay. See how that works for you. So I have a long kind of history with my dog, Harvey, which we haven't really talked about a lot, but you guys will be hearing more about him. And he was actually the reason Melaney and I met because he was a total pain in the ass. And I wanted him to be my service dog. And so he has had a ton of training. And when we were in the height of training, I felt very confident in his off leash. So we traveled together a lot and we would go up to our farm in Illinois and he'd be out and we'd be playing ball or whatever. And he was off leash. And why are you laughing?
I'm just thinking about the other day when you had to be like, Harvey, you want a treat?
I know, it's so bad.
Well,
yeah, people don't even know yet.
Yeah.
So we would be out playing ball or whatever, or he'd be hanging out with us and he would see a deer or a bunny or whatever. And I would be able to call him off of it and he would come right back to me. And fast forward 5 years and he has been pretty much medically retired from any kind of working. He's actually falling apart due to a medical condition and he's not being worked with and not being trained and not being taken out like in public.
He's doing old man things.
Yeah, now he's like an old man and I'm not actively working with them.
Like farting really loud and just like laying around a lot.
Yeah, he's gross.
Yeah.
And now I cannot get him to come back. He literally looked back at me, flipped me the bird, and then hobbled over the top of a log and took off. So
yeah,
it's a matter, would I say that he's been off-leash trained? Absolutely. He had a very solid off-leash recall when we were working together. And as soon as we stopped practicing it and stopped enforcing some of that stuff, it kind of has gone by the wayside. So it's just a matter of, again, we're not mechanics. We don't fix it and it's done. It's constant. It's a relationship kind of thing. So we've got quite the variety of dog here.
What do you think what's the longest distance when he was back when you guys practiced and he was really good at it? What's the longest distance you think he could have reliable control from you?
I would say 100 yards. Yeah. And the reason I know that is because when we were up at the farm and we were working on some of that stuff, there was targets for target practice.
It's true.
So I know about how far he could get from me.
Do you feel like he got to a threshold and he quit listening? Or once he got to the threshold and you had done some training that he started looking for you like, oh, I feel like I'm pretty far away. I better check in.
At that time, he was definitely checking in with me a lot because we were working together constantly.
And I feel like our method of training, that's like what it lends itself to, right? Like, but you have to be training that your dog checks in with you.
Yeah.
Whether it's at 100 yards or 6 feet from your standard leash size. So,
yeah, because, the recall isn't a matter of they didn't hear me. Oh,
no matter how much you yelled.
They hear you, everybody in the audience. They definitely hear you. So it's a matter of, have you shown them that you are going to say it and then make them do it?
Yeah.
And that you mean business? Or have you bribed them to come back or whatever? So it goes back again to the tools too. Like,
yeah.
If you're using an e-collar, which we don't use e-collars, but if I was using an e-collar, I guarantee you I could have beeped that collar and he still would have looked at me and gone, F you, I'm out of here.
Totally worth it.
So it doesn't really matter the tool. It still matters the compliance and the relationship and the yes, I'm going to do what you asked because I love you and I listen.
Yeah.
Which Harvey
Yeah, man. I mean, when I moved out of the neighborhood with my dog, Stella, who's one that's on the cover of our podcast, that's our
Oh, yeah.
Stelly girl. When I moved out to the country with her for the first time and we were not wearing leashes as much, we had some fights over things like the pond.
I was going to say, I seem
and
to remember
food.
that she liked the pond a lot.
So we had our living situation changed and then we had to kind of reset some boundaries, right? Like I had to teach her just because you leave the yard with me doesn't mean that we're going straight out to the pond. And some of it was me like as soon as I knew she was going, like if she got to a certain distance away from me, she'd be like, she couldn't help it. She would like her ears would be down.
And she knew you couldn't get to
and
her.
she'd be looking at me, but then like she'd make a break for it.
The pond was more valuable.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So
Right.
for Harvey the other day, the sniffing, God only knows what in the woods was more powerful or more important to him than me.
I guess, yeah, in both of those stories, the antidote is don't let them get that freaking far away from you, man, because they can't help it. So we've talked about this before. It goes back to how much freedom are you giving them? Can they handle it? Have they been shown how to handle that much freedom? So back to our 16-year-old with a new car, right? Like, what were we talking about the other day where we used that? Where you said the 16-year-old kid with the sports car.
Oh, well, my thing too with the kids is you can drive somewhere, but if I find out you weren't where you said you were, you've lost your privileges. So it's the same as it's the same as the dog. I mean, every relationship is kind of the same. I'm going to give until you show me you can't handle it, and then I'm going to take some of it back.
Rein it in, let it out. Rein it in, let it out.
So it's a give and take. It's not, again, all of these are perishable skills. Like if they're not worked on and they're not practiced, that's what it is. So we've got Harvey, who I would have given an A+ 3 or 4 years ago to his off leash. Stella.
As long as he didn't see another dog. That was also a personality quirk of his.
He's a little bit.
We had to work through
into other dogs. Yeah. And then Stelly Marie, who loves the water. So we struggle with her getting in the pool still.
Poop. Yeah.
And she's a poop roller. And then we have, bless his soul, Kevin. And Kevin pretty much will do whatever any other dog is doing. And his off leash is not good. And he is a dog that we acquired that is developmentally delayed and a little bit special. And he's our best boy.
Well, you couldn't train him from a puppy, but I disagree. I think Kevin's off leash is great because he's just the follower of the pack, right? So you have like kind of two different things out here where we have like a dog like Harvey where we had to teach him on the long leash. He was before we were training Kevin, and like he learned the rules that way, but then Kevin followed Harvey. So, it's like he was a dog. We didn't have to put him on the long leash that much. Like, and
he also is obsessed with me. So he wants to come back
which just, goes back to attention. But like, you don't always, like some dogs, people will call us and say, my last dog just knew what to do when the leash wasn't on. And like, sometimes the conditions lend themselves to that. Like Kevin,
for sure.
He's never had to wear a long leash, but we know he would be freaking lost without any of the members of his pack because he doesn't have an original thought in his head, right? Like he's just dumb.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing that people call us to, where it's a misconception of, but my last dog, like these dogs here that we trust off the leash, that are our own dogs, they're 7, 8, 9 years old.
Correct.
Like they've been doing it a while.
They've got a lot of age on them.
There's been seasons in like my life with Stella where we did a lot of off leash, and there's been seasons in our life where we did none and we leash walked a lot. And both things, like when we moved back to the neighborhood after living in the country, her leash walking was shit.
Yeah.
And we had to do a ton of circles.
Like I said, you have to practice in the new environments and you have to practice the new rules, and they can definitely rise to the occasion, but it's not turnkey. Like we have to refresh the skills.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how when people call us and they want their dog off leash, what that looks like, how we do it?
I was just getting ready to say that. So like at camp, we start, once we get them listening on the 6 foot, in the heel, sitting, I'll put a dog at the end of my 6-foot leash, tell him to stay, and teach him what I mean when I say the word come to them, right? It means you come and you sit right at my feet and look at me and wait for me to tell you what to do next, right? So it's just increasing distance after that, right? So 6 feet to 10 feet to 15. Usually from 15, I go to 30. Usually from 30, I go to 50. I have a 50-foot leash. I clip on them. I pretty much drop it and don't touch it. And then once my sessions are, I'm not having to touch that 50-foot very much to give the dog any guidance of what to do, then I know I'm getting closer to when I can just take off that 50-foot. But that's over the span. It depends on the dog, and it's over the span of several months. But at camp, we start out, we could pretty much get to that 50-foot distance. And I just hook them up to the 50-foot leash. And, if we're at the 15-foot portion of the program, then I just kind of hold 15 feet out of that.
And we practice calling them to us,
yes,
and then sending them away, and calling them to us and sending them away, and getting them to follow us and start paying attention to us.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of, I think people are so nervous about giving their dog that much freedom at first, which I totally get. Like you should be a little bit nervous. So they're kind of staring at their dog and waiting for their dog to go, too far out of the whatever distance we're working on. Whereas to me, it's like, I'm just going to yell over my shoulder, let's go, Sparky. And I'm going to start walking. And that dog's going to look up and be like, shit, wherever that lady's going is where I need to go too. And they're going to leave what they're sniffing. But you have to have a little bit of the foundation or else they're not going to follow you. Right. So,
yeah, you've got to have the foundation, and you've got to have our method is we want to make ourselves a treat. So again, we have to ignore them or kind of withhold ourselves a little bit to use it strategically in those situations. It's the classic case of people are having trouble with recall in their own backyards, even though their backyard is fenced. And every time they go out to call their dog in or to get their dog to recall, it means they're going in the house.
Yeah.
And so the dog has learned, well, mom's going to come out and she's going to stand on the same place on the porch and yell for me about 18 times.
1 time's over.
Before she comes out and puts a leash on me and yanks me back into the house.
And if
right?
it's me calling after Stella going to the pond, I'm going to be like,
a lot of words.
Fucking bitch. Get back.
We're going to have to explicit this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just
this episode.
If you're standing outside your house and you're calling your dog a
in your
fucking
bathrobe
bitch because she won't come to you, like, I feel you. Like,
you're seen here.
Oh, man.
So, the problem is, number one, the person doesn't have an enforcement tool on them. So it turns into a game of chase, which is annoying in your yard, fenced yard. It's super dangerous anywhere else.
Correct.
So they are ignoring you on purpose. They know that every single time the fun is over, when they finally come to you, the fun's over because you're only going out there to call them in. And so they're like flipping you the bird, just like Harvey did to me the other day. So it's a matter of off-leash and recall and whatnot. We've got to have an enforcement tool, which is what we introduce at camp. We've got to have I'm going to say it one time and then make it happen. And the other part of that is, especially if it's in the yard, you've got to go spend some time out in these spaces and have your dog know that not every time you call them, it's time to go in, right? So sometimes it's just they come to you and get attention and then they leave. And you can send them back and forth and back and forth. So we want them paying attention to us.
Yeah. The other thing on backyards too that we see a lot with is the humans are not spending very much time out in those spaces with their dogs. So the dogs are not thinking that they need to listen out there because this is just dog space and humans don't come out here. And then they also tend to get pretty possessive and territorial over those places. So if you don't go out and show your dog every once in a while that it's your backyard, then they're going to forget that and they're going to take it upon themselves to own that space. So I always tell people, if you're struggling with like fence reactivity, go out and walk the perimeter with your dog from time to time and just make sure they know, like, even if you have a small backyard and you spend a lot of time in it, but you're not visiting one corner of the backyard, your dog might think that
that's their spot
to not listen. Like, I don't have to listen in this spot. So it's super important. They're very spatial. They want to take ownership over all their space and your space if you let them.
Yeah. So we use a long leash. We teach people how to, after camp or through a lesson, it doesn't matter. We'll do it either way. They need to be practicing and making sure that they're doing the things at the 6 foot and then extending it and extending it. So we introduce it, but at the end of the day, it's a trust thing between a pet parent and their pet. And you have to practice or put yourself in situations that lend themselves to building that trust. So, start it in the backyard and just show them when I say come, it means come on. And it doesn't mean the fun is over every time, but it has to be intentional practice. And then you can expand it and go to the park and give them a little freedom so they can play frisbee or whatever.
Well, I was going to say it's the same reason why we tell everybody, like, look, you just picked your dog up from camp and they've been introduced to listening at longer distances, but they haven't been introduced to listening to you at longer distances. Whereas before they probably didn't listen to you. So we've had people like very angry call us and be like, I just picked my dog up from camp and I clicked it off the leash and you were supposed to off leash train it. And I'm like, dog, that ain't how it works.
That means that the person didn't listen to a word we said.
Correct. Yeah.
That's user error, not training error.
Yeah. And so the dog is like, yeah, my dad, this is my dad. I don't listen to him. I listen to those other ladies at camp. But, so there's just a little bit of legwork you have to do. And I'm always amazed, I think people get overwhelmed and they don't want to, I don't know if they don't want to do it. I don't know if they don't realize how easy it can be. I don't know. It's frustrating.
We try to make it as easy as possible, but you still have to do a little bit of the work.
Tiny bit.
The other part of off leash and having that control at the 6-foot distance too is I see for our 3 dogs a huge difference when I enforce door manners and make them kind of earn it, and when I don't. So if they're just coming out of crates and I let all 3 of them out, like it is pandemonium. They run out the door. Stella zooms so far. She's like a torpedo.
Yeah.
Kevin just derps around. Harvey starts walking around exploring.
Yeah. I think there's definitely different rules at play when you're managing a pack of dogs or a group of dogs. Like
we do a lot of letting them out individually off leash.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we let them out together off leash. But when I do serious door manners, I'm still laughing. The other morning, I let them out, but I didn't have a lot of time. So then comes the question, do I let them all 3 out off leash and risk somebody being squirrely and not being able to get them back in? Do I take all 3 of them out on leash? Like, what do I do? So I was
Which is a chore. It's a pain to do all 3 of them if you're by yourself. Yeah,
it is. So I made them all sit. And then I opened the door and then I called them by name and released them to go out. And they're very compliant. They did a great job, but they could tell from the door that I meant business and I wasn't messing around. And they literally went out in a line and stood 3 in a row, all peed at the same exact time. Then I called them right back in.
The time you didn't make them take turns, like
I let them out individually. No, I let them out individually, but I called them by name and they could tell that I was serious.
Yeah.
Which is a very different vibe. And they were perfectly compliant. So again, it's so much on us and not on the dog. Like they could tell my mood. They could tell that I meant business. And they lined up, all peed and looked at me. And I was like, all right, get back in here. And they all came right back in. And I was like, this is a miracle.
Yeah.
But we're telling people this all the time. We're setting the tone before we even leave the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's pandemonium when you're leaving the house or letting them out, don't think that they're going to just get their heads on straight when they're out sniffing. Like, set it up from the beginning. And I already know. The other thing too is people will call and I had one yesterday. I called my dog for 20 minutes, couldn't get the dog in the house, and I was an hour and a half late to work. Listen,
that's whack.
You can be as off leash trained as you want, but as the human, if you're on a time crunch, like use the leash. Just use it. It's fine. It's not like a fail because you're using it. I mean,
people associate.
It makes life easier for you. If I'm on a time crunch, I'm not just letting them out. I'm like, okay, I have to leave in 10 minutes. I don't have time for this. So I'm going to take them out on leash and bring them back in.
I mean, people associate that leash with rudimentary elementary dog training. If my dog is advanced, they should know better and they shouldn't need the leash. But like, we don't look at it that way. Like we look at it, we don't label off leash training we don't really label any training as advanced, but especially off leash. Like if my fully trained dog of 5 to 8 years that knows everything I need it to do reliably, but it has that one quirk where it's going to jump on everybody when they come over, then fuck yeah, I'm going to put it on the leash. Like I'm going to put on the leash. I'm going to show it not to do that. So there's quirks definitely where old habits die hard with these guys, but consistent leash usage is necessary.
It's necessary, and it doesn't mean they're not well trained. It doesn't mean that Harvey can't be off leash. It just means that as the human, I know what I have time for and what I have the energy for. And if I'm not up for messing with it, I'm not going to mess with it.
Well, and so let's talk about e-collars a little bit, because that's the same, right? Like there's some people, families, or utilizations of dogs where like they have to have that capability, right? Or some families are like, this is so important to me in my lifestyle, right? Like we go to the lake, or we have all these things that we do where my dog has to be capable to be far away from me. And that's like an e-collar situation where like, I think there's been times people have called us and I'm like, you are probably way better off going with an e-collar trainer, because it's just not my.
We just had one. We just had one last week.
Oh,
they have 11 acres, and the dog is a perfect angel in every setting, but it's a beagle and it's following its nose, and it's not even respecting when she told me it's not even respecting the invisible fence, I was like, okay, I don't think that this is going to be a good fit.
Well, was it they were just trying to get the dog to not go on like one part of the
No, they want to be able to go outside and have the dog outside off the leash with them and hanging out with the family. And what keeps happening is it keeps wandering or running off after a scent, and it's not even respecting the boundary of the invisible fence. And so we talked a lot, and I told her kind of how we do things. And I think we can absolutely help. Yes. But a beagle, an adult beagle that's been doing this and it's a hunting line, I said, you might talk to an e-collar trainer and see if they feel more confident. I said, I think, for our training, I think it'd be a very long time before you actually let that dog off of a long leash. And if that's really the goal, then I think you should explore some other options.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, then, and in that situation, it was a mom with young kids, and like
she's going to have a baby.
Yeah. You're not going to sit on the phone and tell her like, sure, we'll train your beagle. You just need to do 10 hours of training a day. You ain't going to do that. Nobody's going to be happy with that outcome. So
maybe we don't have the appropriate expectations. And so we had a really good conversation about it. I said, I don't think you're completely out of line, but I think you might need to tweak what it looks like. Anyway, we are really good at helping people get that off leash started and continuing it. We're, of course, always here for questions and troubleshooting and help, but we introduce the dog understands what it means. And then we teach the people how to go out and practice it and implement it. And
like for a beagle, my kind of version, I mean, I'm not going to try to go against nature and make a beagle, a dog who's put on this earth, like to sniff things. I'm not going to like try to make that dog
sniff and chase things.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to try to make that dog like be off leash obedient. It would be incredibly frustrating to me. It would kind of be like a disrespect of the breed, unless the dog is pretty trainable and we introduce it to an e-collar and it figures it out and it's good. Like there's some things happen like that. There's definitely exceptions to the rule, and I think if you're in that situation, like, and you want to try it, go right ahead, because some dogs really respond really quickly to it and they don't need a ton of training. So it's just not something I would probably agree to try for anybody like that was going to give me money.
Like, we have 2 dogs though that we just did off leash introduction, and they're both doing great. One was little Sammy Bell, who's a Papillon. She's a little pumpkin.
Yeah. So it goes back to breed, right? So like, here's a couple of breeds that once we talked to the owner, we were like, okay, this is what they're good if they can have to use the long leash and they are, they have a smaller yard or whatever. So these were cases where we felt it was a good fit and the people, kind of knew what the work would be. So like Sammy Bell Papillon, she's probably one of the smaller dogs we've ever done it with.
We had to get a special leash because she was so small that our regular rope leash was too heavy for her. Poor little pumpkin. Her ears are big, but she's not as strong for a 50-foot leash, regular leash.
Yeah, she would drag that thing and then look back at us like, why can't I move? So she did great. She was one that like the further we got into it, like she never liked to go further than about 10 feet away from us.
Yeah.
Like
she had her little trot. She was so happy that she was just trotting along,
she
and
stuck
she
pretty
would
close.
notice when we turn and would stay with us. And we showed her parents how to do it as well. And then we had another one, Twig, who's a husky mix, which that's kind of a unicorn to have off leash, but
Yeah.
they didn't have a yard.
Or maybe they did, and there's just this really, really tiny. But we told them, we were like, look, huskies are not known for being able to be off-leash capable. They're bred to pull sleds for miles and miles a day and go far and not ever look back. You know?
Once we met her, though, she was
attentive enough.
We felt like she would be a good fit for it. And so we showed her parents that too, and they've been successful as well. So, it's a matter of we can introduce it. Dog training is 50-50. It's half on us. It's half on any trainer to really communicate to the humans and the dog what they're supposed to do. And then the other half is on the pet parents to implement everything and to keep it up. Because we can attest, even with our own dogs, that when you don't practice it or you don't keep it up, the skills wane.
Yeah. The biggest takeaway, I think, too, that people can't quite understand with off-leash training is not just like the foundational stuff, but I mean, how much attention you're giving is so, so, so crucial. So that was a big one with Sammy's people, where they're a great older couple. Sammy's mom, Pam, came in and was like, she listens to her dad way better than me. I just can't understand it. I just love her so much. And we're like, Pam, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
Too much. So like Sammy's like, why would I go to that lady? Like she follows me around all day. She tells, she's talking to me all day. So the dog is getting the wrong idea to the dog.
Pam is actually the one that's off leash trained.
Yeah.
Pam's checking in with her dog all the time. I love you, Pam. But really, she's giving that dog so much attention that she's diminishing her importance to the dog. And so that's literally the foundation of our training is attention and affection. Give it strategically. Don't be mean to your dog by ignoring it constantly. But, don't follow your dog around and talk to it all day long, or it's not going to listen to a word you say.
Pam. Poor Pam. Yeah, we said, Pam, why buy the cow?
Yeah, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Yeah.
And I, of course, started laughing because that's an old reference and I'm old.
Yeah.
And, well, according to you, I'm old. And Pam looks at me and she goes, actually, my dad was a dairy farmer. And I died.
Every time. So you should know, Pam.
I'm like, Pam, this is foundational to your childhood. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? So why listen or do anything if you just get it all the time? Like, what's the point? So withhold it a little bit more. Make them do something to get your loves and attention. I said it can be as little as Sammy wants attention. We know what she wants. Make her sit first.
Yeah.
And guess what? All of her compliance is going to be a lot better the less attention you give her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't cuddle your dog, but have her sit and then call her up to cuddle her.
Yeah. You're giving them the wrong idea when you're kind of talking to them all the time and following them around. And, just if you feel like you need to supervise them that closely and you can't, then and it's giving you anxiety to where you're checking in with them constantly, you probably just need to throw them in the crate.
Correct. And that's going to teach them to settle down and calm down and turn off anyway. So Sammy did a great job. Twig did a great job. Their parents all did a great job.
Yep.
All this to say, we definitely help people with our off-leash training. And our method is great. It's worked really well. It works for us. It works for our clients. And it's a little bit more of the long game. For sure.
If you're interested in building that relationship over a period of time with your dog where you don't need any of these tools to communicate with them, then yeah, we'll show you how to do that.
Yep, for sure. I just have to remember, put all 3 of these dogs that live with us in a sit before I let them out the door, no matter how much time I have, and they're going to be more compliant.
I don't know. Sometimes I like to not make them sit and just watch them all fight. I mean, actually fight, but they just, if they're going to go out and like roughhouse and play for a little bit, then I'll usually
The
just be
other
like,
thing too about these guys is they can be out there in the summer all day long, completely off leash. They're perfectly compliant. It's a matter of getting some of these things out of their system. So when they're
yes,
cooped up over the winter, it's harder for them to listen because they're worried they're not going to come back out, or if it's been raining and raining and raining. So giving them some freedom and then practicing all summer, we don't have any problems. It's the scarcity of being off leash, I
yes,
think, is what makes it more exciting. So keep yourself more exciting than the outside. Give them that exposure so everything in the world isn't the best thing they've ever seen.
Keep your dog's breed in mind. We have a purebred lab, we have a German Shepherd mix, and we have like a hound mix. Like the hound mix is the one, Stella, that can't really just hang out the same way
Correct.
that like your boys do. Like she will just wander and wander and wander.
Correct.
And we can't, like, she just can't handle quite that much freedom, but she can go on a walk with us off leash and follow us and hang out and come back when we tell her. But if we let her go too long without getting checked in with, then she gone.
The last thing I want to say, maybe the last thing, is there is not a world where I'm letting even my off leash dog outside with no supervision and just expecting them to stay at our house or come back on their own. Some dogs can do it. A lot of farm dogs do it. It's great. But when people call and they say, I want to be able to let my dog out to go potty and I want him to come right back and I don't want to go out there or have anything to do with it, is not a realistic training goal. So there needs to be some human involvement and some direction and some give and take, because again, it's a relationship. They're not robots.
Correct.
They're not going to just like report back to their docking station like the Roomba. So anyway, that's off leash.
Off leash.
We do a lot of it. We like it. We like seeing how happy the dogs are and they get a kick out of it.
It really is so enriching for the dogs to be able to have that little bit of trust and freedom. And I think it boosts the dog's confidence. It boosts the human's confidence and their trust in each other. Like once the human can do that and give their dog that little bit of freedom, and it's not like super crazy and stressful and it doesn't go completely to shit, like those are some really good wins.
It's empowering.
Yes.
It's empowering for the dog and the human, but it still takes practice.
Yeah.
But we can definitely help.
Awesome. Well, let's do something a little different to wind up here. So let's talk about what we got going on, what we're working on, what we got coming up in the community, anything with the chamber you'd like to plug in. I mean, nothing.
We're getting ready to go tour the new Bullitt County Animal Shelter.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be fun. Got calls in to David and Tony.
Yeah, I want to get
Bullitt County Animal Shelter.
I want to get all up in there and see it.
I do too. I'm excited. It's a big, nice facility. They send a lot of referrals our way, and we are happy to encourage adoptions by discounting our services for people that have adopted from the Bullitt County Animal Shelter. So it's a good partnership that we have, and I'm excited to go see their new facility. So that's one big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's April in Kentucky, so Derby is coming up.
If it's pollen season.
Well, yeah, that too. We still have availability for some continuing ed spots for Derby week if you need to get your dog out of your house.
Oh,
send them on over.
We have, I think, 2 training spots too.
Yeah. Yeah. So those will fill up quickly. We have group class.
Group class is Saturday. I'm teaching.
We are going to continue group class the second and third Saturdays of the month through the summer, I think.
Yep.
So that's exciting. And that's about all we got going on, folks. So thanks for listening, and
we'll catch you next time.
Catch you on the flip.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Love 'Em and Lead 'Em. If you want to hear more, be sure to check us out every other week on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Please be sure to follow us on Instagram at Dog Training Camp USA Louisville, and check out our website at dogtrainingcamplouisville.com for more information on our training and other services.
If you need help with your dog, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find our contact details in the show notes. We'll smell you later.